Welcome to Impact Duty. I'm your host, Manisha Dadlani Kriplani, bringing you empowering stories of friends and people I admire. Their voices have given me joy and the momentum to share their stories with you. A passionate foodie and creative, Maria de Conceicao is a photographer who has carved out a career for herself in food photography, food styling, and recipe development. She lives in Switzerland with her Swiss beau and 2 children. Hi, Maria. Welcome to Impact Duty. How are you?
Hi, Manisha. I'm good, thank you. And thank you for having me on Impact Duty.
I'm happy to have you. I've seen some of your photography skills and they are phenomenal. But I know you've had such a varied background. So I can't wait to talk to you about your journey and see how you've honed and created so many beautiful skills that have led you from being an English editor, I believe, right through to being a food stylist and a food photographer. So, Maria, I'm going to let you dive right in and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, let's start with moving to Switzerland. Because this is where, I moved to Switzerland back in 2006 for an internship, and I was working in Zurich as a copywriter and English editor for a radio station.
Ooh.
Yeah, this was, about 14 years ago. And back home in India, I was working for a media company, and we did post-production on Hollywood studios and BBC. It was amazing. But I had this need, this wanderlust, as they call it nowadays, to explore the world, experience another culture. So I was all of 24, saved up my money, and decided I'm going to a country in Europe for some international experience. And that's how I landed up in Zurich.
And you had never been to Switzerland before that?
That was my first time, yeah.
Wow. And what made you choose Switzerland then? Like what?
The project.
Oh, really?
It was between Zurich or Paris. And it was, right now, it was called Radiotropic in Zurich. Unfortunately, they don't exist anymore, but a beautiful multicultural radio station. I had the pleasure of working with them for a year. Yeah, that's how I chose Zurich and this project. Wow. And it was during this year that I met the love of my life.
Wow.
Yeah, Raphael, and he's a local, comes from Aarau. And that's where life decides, we have these plans cut out for us. I said, Maria, we're going, getting some international experience for work, because I was all of 24. And then, of course, I met the love of my life. And then that completely changed my career path.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, because I went home after a year. When Raphael came to India, met my family. We traveled all over North India, South India. And then we just knew that we wanted to be together.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So that's my journey and why I'm here in Switzerland. And after I returned, a recession hit the country back in 2006, 2007.
Right.
And to continue my journey and career as an English editor was rather difficult because the market was so dry, and I just couldn't find work as an editor in a German-speaking media environment and country, part of the country rather.
Right.
It was then that I turned to my passion for cooking. I love cooking. I've been cooking up a storm from I think since I was like 10, 11.
Right.
Yeah. And in the meantime, I pursued, because I was looking at options of what I could do. Right. And the love for English. And I said, I'd love to teach people English or children. So on one side, I was pursuing the CELTA. Cambridge, and on the other side, I started cooking and doing cooking workshops.
Wow!
And that's how my journey with food began. And as life went on, one day I picked up a camera, and I loved capturing people and emotions and nature. So that's where my how do you say, interest in photography began.
Right.
So all of this, started at one point. There was a crux, and I think the catalyst was the move to Switzerland and the recession.
Right.
So yeah, as time went by, I started, cooking more, and then of course I became a teacher for a little bit,
Right.
and I was teaching children English.
Aha.
And after my second child, I was home.
Right.
And at this point, I said, I couldn't go out and do my cooking workshops. And I said, well, I can cook at home and I can take pictures. I'm not a very social media friendly person, but at that point I decided, right, there's Instagram. Everyone's talking about it. So
Right.
let's do something with Instagram. So yeah, I went onto Instagram, and that's where the journey with photography and cooking started.
Excellent. Yeah. But I'm going to take you back to India a bit. Which part of India are you from?
I come from southern India, Bangalore.
Oh, really?
And yes, and I've grown up there. I mean, I was born in West Bengal, in Kharagpur, because my mom comes from there.
Wow.
And my parents are both Anglo-Indian. So mom's an Anglo-Indian from West Bengal. My dad is from Bangalore.
Aha.
So I grew up in Bangalore.
Our food influence is very different.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, right. Have you, do you have an affinity for one side more than the other, or do you just cook a fusion of foods?
Indian food?
Yes.
I'm a strong South Indian lady who loves her South Indian food. I'm partial, I know, because I love the flavors of coconut and spices and just fresh vegetables with, tempered with mustard seeds and just coconut sprinkled on top. So I'm a hardcore South Indian foodie fan.
Really?
And my cooking is heavily influenced by the south of India.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Are ingredients easy to come by over here?
Absolutely, yes. We have many, in each town we have, it's either an Indian store, grocery store, or a Sri Lankan grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I think over the span of the last 5 years, a lot of our favorite products are being sent over for sale here. Initially, between 2007 to 2010, right. There was always the when I would return home to India, I need to fill my suitcase up with all these things that I don't find. And the last 4 trips back home, I was like, no, that's fine. I get everything back home. Yeah. So.
We just finished Diwali this weekend.
Yeah.
And I was amazed at the variety of mithai I was able to access at our group. I was astounded. I mean, you named the brand. We had Haldirams and Brijvasi and everything that I'm familiar with from India. And I said, really? And it was not that accessible in Switzerland just a few years ago. But I think the increase in the subcontinental population has created that demand. And finally, we're meeting demand with supply. So I'm delighted. I'm really happy.
And the food scene in Switzerland in the last 5 years has just blossomed. We have so much variety now. Before it was the standard Indian restaurant, a Thai restaurant, probably a Greek, no, not really a Greek restaurant, but, Orientalish cookie, they call it, Moroccan.
Yes.
And that was it, from 5 years ago. And now we have a variety of kitchens to be explored. And Switzerland is just accepting all the cultures and the food from the world. And Indian food is much loved here by the locals.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And,
yes.
Like I said, you've had a great amount of experience with food right now, whether it's photography, styling, and actually creating food. And like I said, a prior background in being in traditional media.
Yes.
Have you seen any skills that you've created that you've been able to use vertically in all these roles?
Absolutely. Really? Because so the one thing I would say is that I've learned through my career in media and applying it to photography that I do now is composition,
Oh,
you know.
okay.
So when we would go create pictures for the radio station, you know, for the content they needed for posters, you know, the same composition you would apply to a grid for
Right.
a poster.
Right.
I apply now to my photography, food photography. Yeah. And also for my first job with, you know, doing post-production with the scripts, applying the subtitles to the screen. Again, composition, where you would place it on the screen.
Right.
You know, so this is something that's, yeah, brought me to a point now that I apply to my food photography.
Excellent.
Yeah, does that answer your question? Or
For sure it does. It's that
yes,
whole connect the dots backward kind of thing that I
yes,
was
yes.
looking for. But
Yeah, because alongside my degree, I did an honors in documentary film production.
really,
Right. And so that was the, you know, the starting point of my interest in media and connecting to, you know, people through media. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's definitely given you a special set of skills.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I'm now going to draw you to your mentors. I know
Yes.
that you've taken a lot of inspiration from your family, from now you've told me both from, the Southern Indian cuisine and I guess your parents.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about your mentors and if there are a few more that are outside the family.
Right. So growing up in Bangalore, we lived in an old colonial part of town.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother,
Ah,
she was a fabulous, fabulous cook. And
really?
every weekend she'd do catering orders, you know, for people who'd come to her and say, Dolly, we have a function at the church, and would you mind cooking up a vindaloo for us? You know, and I would always be at her side, Nana, what are you putting in there? What is this? What is that? And she'd patiently say, right, this is ginger, this is garlic, and here's, and I would ask her, why do you, and she's like, the most important lesson I got from her was heat up the oil, throw in your spices, and let your spices bloom. What
Ooh,
does blooming mean? It releases the aromas, you know, and that's why we put spices into hot oil. So, you know, all these small lessons
aha.
just put me in a world of such deep interest for food.
Wow.
And I would watch her cook, and she would let me assist her as well.
Right.
And, you know, because sometimes I'm a cook where I say, leave me alone, I need to do my thing. But she would just patiently include me in everything. And that's how I learned. And then mom comes from West Bengal, and she had a different set of skills.
Right.
So she would make a lot of Bengali dishes, and her dal was, you know, an East Indian dal.
Right.
Infused with the they call it panchpuram, 5 spices, and very different from the south.
Yes.
And, you know, so I would ask her, why is a dal from West Bengal different from a dal from South India? And, you know, I always had these questions.
Right.
And my mom was just amazing at whipping up a dish in under 30 minutes.
Wow.
Like a dal rice, a side of vegetables and a meat fry. And yeah, just watching these two women in the kitchen, they were queens. And that's where my inspiration and you know, they taught me so much.
Wow.
My grandmother was a well-traveled, well-read lady, and she brought so much of, you know, the taste from around the world to our table at home.
Really?
So every time she traveled somewhere, she'd come back and say, oh, we have to try to make a pizza. And really, so I was eating homemade pizzas, I think when I was 7, 8.
Incredible.
And she taught me how to do the dough. And I think the first time I made a tagliatelle was when I was 12 years old. You know, really. So I think my grandmother was a big part of my, you know, this love I have for food.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. It usually starts from a very young age. So
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
And
and I think if one has interest,
yes,
you have to have interest. I mean, because you can have wonderful cooks around you, but if you're not too keen yourself,
right.
it's lost.
Wow. I can actually feel the fusion of yeah, flavors and smells emanating from that kitchen. You took me back in time. Wow. And any other mentors apart from family? Even within the journalism,
Um, Sorry?
even within traditional media, when you were doing your documentaries or
I'm trying to think back. There was a teacher, one of the teachers who taught my course, the honor course.
right,
He always, spoke of, he was well traveled, and he would tell us stories about the culture and the food.
right.
And, I always aspired to be like him and travel the world and experience a culture through food.
Wow.
So yeah. And I think, yeah, right now in COVID times, it's going to be a bit difficult, but
It is.
that's a long-term goal to, yeah, be like this teacher of mine and travel the globe, experiencing different cultures and their food. Yeah.
Excellent. And now, as you said, you've lived here for close to or a little over a decade and a half.
Yeah.
Have you managed to fuse and infuse the Swiss and your Indian background? Have you managed to?
Absolutely.
Oh, really? Tell
Absolutely.
us. Tell us
Yeah.
a bit more.
So, that all began when I started doing my cooking workshops.
Right.
Because I strongly believe that we need to be able to use what we have locally.
Oh, wonderful.
Right? So, of course, I like my bindis and my small little purple aubergines.
Aha.
But I always thought, how do I recreate these dishes using what I have in a Migros or Coop?
Right.
Because that's, I've always thought about cutting down, my carbon footprint and thinking about, being good to earth,
Yeah.
and supporting our local farmers. And so that's two things I strongly believe in is support your local farmers
Right.
with what they produce.
Right.
And yeah, that's so important for me. And so that's how it all began, where I started fusing, I can't say mixing flavors from India and Switzerland, but what I do is I recreate Indian dishes
Aha.
with seasonal local ingredients.
Oh, tell me a little bit more. Give
For
me an example.
example, I could make a rasam
Ah,
with, and you need, rasam is tangy.
yes.
When in summertime you get plenty of rhubarb. You
Yes.
can make a beautiful rasam with rhubarb
Really.
because it adds the sour taste you need for a rasam. Yeah, and so I would use that. And so in India, I think we don't use zucchetti a lot.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, now of course it's being grown there.
Yes. But I guess a
But
different variety of the
yeah,
zucchetti family is what we get in India. Yeah.
exactly. So one can make a wonderful, poriyal or a bhaji with zucchetti,
Yes, you're right.
right? And with Indian flavors.
Yeah.
And so I remember the first curry I made with using local ingredients was an asparagus curry in coconut milk.
Ooh.
And because I had a class the next day, this workshop, and I went to the supermarket. It was spring, and I said, right, what am I going to use?
Right.
And then I saw, asparagus. That would be lovely. And so, yeah, I made a lovely coconut asparagus curry.
Wonderful.
And it's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
And the people I've taught simply love that I use the local ingredients with Indian food. And I show them a lot of home style cooking, not the restaurant style recipes and things that we would normally cook at home, and give them a whole new experience into our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. And Maria, earlier on, you mentioned workshops. Do you still do them? I mean, I know the pandemic has pretty much thrown everything out of gear, but you did mention the workshop. So I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit more about what you did or do.
Right. So after I had my second boy, I put my cooking workshops on hold. Right.
All right.
And I started focusing on food photography. So I would cook at home, take pictures of my wonderful, my food, and put them on Instagram. Right. And this was back in 2014. This is where my journey as a food stylist actually began. Wow. And I just kept sharing pictures, and slowly work started coming to me. People started asking me, could you create a recipe for us? And we love that you speak about ingredients, Indian ingredients, but using local vegetables. And could you explain how we use turmeric? And so that's how this journey with recipe creation began. Right. And people started, a lot of local, I have a lot of local clients based in Zurich and Aargau. And right, so I was doing this up until, I'm still doing it. And last year, now coming back to the workshops, right? Last year, a friend, she suggested, she's like, Maria, you do food styling and photography for clients all the time. Have you ever thought about doing a workshop? Right. And I was like, that's an idea. And there was a demand for it because a lot of people have written to me and said, Maria, would you like to teach us? And then I thought, okay, Food Zurich 2020 is the year for a workshop. Right. Because this lovely friend of mine, we were planning to do it together. Uh-huh. And it was going to be in the summer, but because of COVID, it got cancelled. Right. Right, yeah. And that was the first time that I had a workshop this year. Uh-huh. Oh, sorry, Manisha, I'm drifting a bit. But yes, so getting back to the point, because I keep thinking about this journey I've had. So getting back to the point, it was supposed to be in the summer of 2020, but that didn't happen because of COVID. And 3 weeks ago, I had a food styling and photography workshop in Zurich as part of the
saw that on
Zurich.
Instagram.
Yes, and I was simply flabbergasted because I registered and then I forgot all about it because we weren't sure if it would go ahead and whether the Bundesrat would say, our Swiss government would say it's okay to have gatherings of over 5. Right. And then 2 weeks before the workshop, I looked online at the ticket shop and I'd sold 9 out of 12 tickets. Wow. And I was like, oh dear, this is happening. Yes. And so we waited to the Thursday before the workshop. Right. And then the Swiss government, of course, said it's okay. Right. So I said, okay, right, we're going ahead with this. And then it was a mad dash to the finish line to get my notes together, prepare for the class. And on the 31st of October, I had my first food photography workshop. Right. And it was an amazing experience. Yes.
I can imagine. And back to the photography, obviously you used color and light and shadows in such a beautiful way. I really don't know too much about photography, but I know that you use these elements beautifully. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about
the photography journey?
Creating your own unique style?
Yes, absolutely. So for me, I love color. I think it's the Indian in me because we Indians as a culture, we embrace color in all forms, in our food, in our clothes. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to express this through my photography. And because here in Switzerland, we tend to have spells of gray weather, and I wanted to bring color from food into my frame. And so that's a key factor about why I use so much of, vibrant colors.
Yes.
And I've studied a lot. I'm self-taught. Mm-hmm. Since I began my Instagram journey, I've been studying whatever material, it's not a conventional, you can go to a university and study food styling. It's something, it's a relatively new career for a lot of people in the industry.
Right.
And yeah, so you have to score the internet for, material. So I've, self-taught myself and I learned about light, because light is so important when you take a picture, because you want your audience to be able to see what's in the frame, right? And if you don't have the right light, you cannot have a successful picture. So I studied light, and then finally putting my own spin on it was I love shadow a lot, because there's a saying when there's you can't see the light if there's no darkness, right?
Yes.
Think about it. So you're in a dark room, and you only see the light if there's a tiny window open, flooding in, and then you see the light so beautifully, and you can use this light to express your subject. And so I studied a lot, and then coming to my pictures, these are the three elements I like using: light, shadow, and color. And that's my style.
Wonderful. Yeah. And Maria, how have you embraced and integrated this onto the social media platforms?
Right. So right now I'm really only using Instagram, and that's my voice for what I do.
Right.
And it's been extremely successful. I'm very grateful for that.
Really?
I'm not much of a Facebook user or Pinterest and none of the other social media handles. TikTok is something people are telling me to explore, but I'm quite traditional in my ways. And I think Instagram is a rather good business tool.
For sure.
So Instagram is my portfolio in a way, my resume,
Yes, definitely. And especially for your skill set, yes. I think it's an apt tool. Maria, do you have a blog as well?
I want to create a blog in the future. And but at the moment, I don't have a blog, because a lot of people ask me, do you share your recipes anywhere? And I'm like, I mostly create them for clients at the moment. And you will find my recipes on their websites.
Right. The reason I asked that was because I was planning to go check out the asparagus coconut recipe if you had your blog.
I will hook you up with that. I created the recipe for a local brand. I don't know if you know them, farmy.ch.
Yes,
for their e-magazine. Yes, for their e-magazine, and this recipe is on their website.
Oh, really?
So I'll send you a link later.
Oh, brilliant. I hope I can score some asparagus, though, at this time of the year.
No, you'll have to wait for spring.
Yeah. Okay. Cravings on hold then. And Maria, what are some of the good and the bad lessons that have come out of this global pandemic that the world has faced for you? Any lessons?
Good. Well, we'll start with, let's see, a bad lesson. What I've learned is that you can't take relationships for granted, because now since lockdown has happened, and everything's a bit iffy since March, we had the big lockdown.
Yes.
Just simple things like giving a person a hug, or meeting a friend.
Yes.
It was a topic of discussion. And these are small things that we took for granted before.
Yes.
Right? And so I've learned to not take things for granted. I think, that's been a bad lesson, would you say? Yeah?
I think it's the good that has emanated from the bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you're not taking it for granted, but the bad thing is that you can't really do the hug. Yeah.
Just not postpone. How do you say? Before the pandemic started, we thought, yeah, we could meet up with friends tomorrow or the day after, or talk to family or meet family.
Yes.
And it comes to a point, like I would have liked to go back to India.
Yes.
And I don't know when I can go back there. So, seize the day, seize the moment.
Exactly.
Is a good lesson to take away. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a positive lesson would be, how innovative we've all become.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really innovative in whatever we do. For example, we can do cooking workshops over Zoom.
Yes.
We can have online classes.
Yes, indeed.
For schools. It's been amazing.
Yes.
The positive. But I feel the most positive lesson is this pandemic has taught us is to slow down.
Yes.
Slow down, appreciate the green grass, to look at all the small things around us. Enjoy that cup of tea and not rush out of your house.
Yeah.
Come on. Slow down. That's because this world, we got caught up with being busy and rushing around, and I think this pandemic has forced us all to just slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria. And what's in the future? What does the future hold for Maria? Or what's in the cards for you now in the near future?
Wow. Definitely. I mean, I found my calling in life, and that's food and photography. And I would like to do this and grow my business. Become I think I've done one successful book. I've shot a book for a client, and I think I would like to do lots more of this.
Right.
And once my boys are a bit older, I would like to relaunch my workshops, my cooking workshops. So I would like to balance my food photography and my cooking workshops. And I think this is going to be me, and you'll see lots more of this. And photography workshops when it comes to food and cooking.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to explore and work with local clients some more. Yes.
Wonderful, Maria. Maria, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you this morning.
And you, Manisha, thank you so much for having me on Impact Duty.
I've learned so much from you, really. And actually going to go and look at what's there seasonally at the local supermarket.
Really.
I haven't been to a fresh, the actual markets, the fresh food markets in a while now. I used to go every Saturday.
I can imagine, yes.
I haven't been for a while, but you've re-inspired me to get to one on a Saturday morning. And immediately I'm going to go check out my Migros. And see if I can, my local supermarket, and see what's there. What's seasonal? What's the seasonal produce that you're using at the moment?
Right now, it's pumpkins and sweet potatoes, cabbages, and beetroot.
Yes, we've been using a lot of sweet potato as well.
Yes. You can make a wonderful samosa with sweet potatoes and pumpkins. Yeah, absolutely. And purple cabbage. You can make, this is, In fact, later on today, I have to create a recipe for a client, and I'm working with sweet potatoes.
Wonderful. Can't wait to see those pictures online soon, if by chance you do share them.
I will be sharing them on my Instagram handle. Yeah. Once they're ready, and probably in 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah.
Maria, this is wishing you all the very best in your near future. Looking forward to seeing some photographs now very soon, and take very good care of yourself. I'll see you very soon.
You too, Manisha. Thank you so much for having me on Impact Duty. And it was lovely talking to you this morning, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Stay safe, stay blessed.
Thank you. Have a good morning then.
Bye.
Bye.